Well, welcome. Welcome to Thoughts Roundup. I guess you can tell by now that I am making my first attempt at coming to you from the road. And I've got a young man from Brother Strevel's church here that's helping me and kind of giving me some instructions. So, do you folks think I can do it or not? I got a feeling that some of you are doubting me now because I've made two or three attempts and hadn't been able to do it yet. But I might even be believing that I can do it a little bit. So that's encouraging to you, I'm sure. But anyway, I'm going to be coming to you. And so I thought on my first round up here, I'd just tell you about my cousin. Tell you about my cousin Gideon. Now Gideon, he was not known as the most truthful person, but he was very likable, and he was also entertaining. He was not a person you hate to see come, but you did hate to see him leave because he kept you so well entertained. But the truth was a little difficult for him sometimes. So I'm kind of glad to just talk about something like that on our first interview here, our first recording. Gideon. I'll tell you why we liked him. Gideon said that he had fallen out of an airplane 1,000 feet high, and he said, without a parachute. That's the kind of the kicker in the deal. He fell out without a parachute, and they pumped air in him with a hand pump for 2 hours, just like an old car pump, for 2 hours before they got him going again. Then he also told us one time that, he had he said that he was driving an 18-wheeler, a brand new 18-wheeler. Good bully, he said. I was the first one that ever drove her. And he said I was coming across the tall mountains in North Carolina and the brakes went out. He said I felt when I touched the brakes, I felt it go and I heard the noise. And he said I knew that I was in trouble because I was running fast, good bully. I was running fast, and I had her stretched out, and I come over the top of that mountain. I hit that brake, and I didn't have any brakes. He said I had a runaway truck on my hands, and so he said it was coming down, and there was a big curve down there, and you could see 1,000 foot high down there. You could see it, and I knew I was fixing to run that truck off. And he said, so just as it went over the cliff, I opened the door and stepped out. And he said, I walked over to the edge and it was rolling over and over and over and over down there. And he said, I just said, well, she was a beautiful rig. Well, that was all entertaining to us because us little old boys, we just thought that was the very best. We loved Gideon. But you know what? Gideon disappeared, and nobody knew where he was. And for years and years, it was a mystery about Gideon. Where was Gideon? What happened to him? Never any contact. But we had one of our cousins in Beaumont, Texas one day, and she was in her car, and she She looked over. They'd come up to there used to be a traffic circle in Beaumont, and she looked up how you'll do this. There's parked at a red light, and how you'll just kind of look up at the driver. People do that sometimes. I think I do that sometimes. And she looked up, and it was Gideon. Oh. And so she blew her horn and waved and motioned for him to pull into the little Circle Cafe there. And man, they were talking, and he was smoking one cigarette after another. That was the days you smoked in a restaurant. And he was just, he was talking, and he was in his usual lying mode, and he was being so entertaining and interesting. And my cousin then looked at him and said, "Gideon, I want to ask you a question." He said, "Good bully, ask anything you want." She said, "Gideon, after all these years, do you ever think of church?" He stopped, he ground his cigarette out, he put his head down, and when he raised his head, you could tell it was an honest moment. Tears was coming down his face, and he said, you don't know how much I miss church. Oh, let me ask you something. Do they still do like they used to do? Do they still clap their hands? Do they still every once in a while run around the church a little bit? Does brother so-and-so, he fed us when we were hungry. Is he still there? And does the preacher still preach like he's fighting a swarm of bees? Does he still preach? And do people still come to the altar? Yeah. What we want to realize, that no matter what people are saying, and no matter what people are doing, we need to realize that something might be going on inside their minds and hearts that we don't know is there. That we don't want to ever give up. And before you get through praying, always pray for them every time you think about it. Now, the next time I come, I might be interviewing someone, or I might show you something from the road, since I'm traveling and putting on a lot of miles. I like to keep you informed on some things maybe that interest me. God bless you.